Hello, welcome to this Amazon S3 class. And in this class, we are going to learn the S3 object lifecycle versioning, how we can control the versioning, how we can use the object lifecycle management. Okay, so basically, object lifecycle management it's to manage your objects into your S3. Okay, so let's take a look what they are. So it's basically used to manage your objects so that they are stored cost effectively throughout their life cycle and to configure their Amazon S3 life cycle. An S3 lifecycle configuration is a set of rules that define actions that Amazon S3 applies to a group of objects. Okay, so you can apply whether after this period of time your objects should be deleted or they should be moved from one class to another S3 class, or whatever policy you just want to apply. You can just configure that particular life cycles policy into your S3. And there are basically two types of actions. That's the transition actions. That's the first one. It's defined when objects transition to another storage classes. Let's say you might choose to transit objects to S3 standards IA storage class 30 days after you created them, or archive objects to S3 Glacier storage class 1 year after you created them. There are costs associated with the life cycle transition request, however, so just bear in mind because you are going to pay a little bit. It's not a huge charge, but you have to pay a little bit. And another one is the expiration. You can define your policy when objects going to be expire, and Amazon S3 delete expired objects on your behalf. And then life cycle expirations costs depend on when you choose to expire the objects. So that's all about how you can use the object lifecycle management into your S3. And when we should use the lifecycle configuration, you can define S3 lifecycle configuration rules for objects that have a well-defined life cycles. Okay, so let's say just for example, you upload periodic logs to your buckets, and your application might them for a week or a month, and after that you might want to delete them. So you can just apply the life cycle policy, and then you just that particular policy going to be delete your objects on your behalf after 30 exact after 30 days, and you don't need to be pay to Amazon to use that unwanted or unused objects which is stored into your S3. Okay, so some documents, let's say the free are frequently accessed for a limited time of periods, and after that they are infrequently accessed. So at some point you might not need a real-time access to them, but your organization or regulations might need to achieve them. So what you need to do, you just need to apply a life cycle, and you can apply those objects into the archive class, and then that particular objects will be archived after a specified period, and after that you can even delete them. So that's how you can use your lifecycle configuration into your S3. And lifecycle configuration rule, you can tell S3 to transition objects to less expensive storage classes, or you can archive or delete them on your behalf. That's the authority you are going to give to S3 on your behalf. Another one, there's the encryption in S3. You can also encrypt your data at rest into your S3 also. So it is strongly recommended that all the sensitive data is stored in S3 must be encrypted both in flight or at rest. Whether you are transitioning the data that should be in at the the encrypted, and if it's inside your S3 at rest, so it should be encrypted. It's the best practice. So to encrypt your Amazon S3 data in the flight, you can use the Amazon S3 secure socket, the SSL API endpoints to make when you are accessing the data, it must be the HTTPS. So that's how you can use the data, your data encryption in the fly. And to add the rest, then you can use the server side encryptions. There are a couple of types. You can encrypt your data at rest in S3, and you can use the several variation of server side encryptions tool. They are already available there. So you have following to protect your data at rest in Amazon S3. That's first one is the server side encryptions. So request Amazon S3 to encrypt your data objects before saving it on a disk and in its data centers, and then decrypt it when you download the objects. And second one is the client side encryption. So encrypt data client side and upload the encrypted data to Amazon S3. So in basically in this case you are managing the encrypted encryption process, not managing by the Amazon. It's going to be managing by yourself, the encryption keys and the related tools all. Okay, so that's your responsibility. All SSE, it's the abbreviation of the server side encryption. That's the SSE. It's performed by Amazon S3 and AWS KMS services, and it's basically use the 256 bit advanced encryption encryption standards. So let's take a look SSE-S3. That's the AWS management key that you are going to manage. That's sorry, the AWS going to manage to encrypt your data. This is a fully integrated checkbox style encryption solutions where AWS handles the key management, and you don't need to manage the your encryption key at your end. So it's going to be managed by Amazon itself, and every object in encryption is encrypted without a unique key, with a unique key. Every object will be encrypted with a particular unique key will be assigned to that objects, which is stored into your Amazon S3 bucket. And Amazon S3 server side encryptions, it uses one of the strongest block cipher available. That's the 256 advanced encryption standards to encrypt your data. So that's very strong standards as of now, and that's going to be used to protect your data at S3. And another one, that is the SSE-KMS. That's the SSE server side encryptions key management service, and it's going to server side encryptions with customer master key stored in AWS key management services with some additional benefits and charges for using this service. And there are separate permissions for the use of a CMK that provides the edit protections against your unauthorized access of your objects into your S3 buckets. And SSE KMS also provides you with an audit trail that shows when your CMK was used by and by whom. So that's you can also have the visibility. Additionally, you can create it can you can create and manage customer manage CMKs, or you can use the AWS manage CMKs that are unique to you, your service, and your regions as well. AWS KMS, it also allows you to view any failed attempt to access data from users who did not have permissions to decrypt the data. So that's how you are also have the visibility into your data. SSEC, that's the customer provided keys. This is the with server side encryption with customer provided keys. You manage the encryption keys, and S3 AWS, they manage their encryptions as it writes to the disk and decryptions when you access your objects. But in this case, SSE-C, AWS will do the encryption decryption of your objects while you maintain full control of the keys used to decrypt or encrypt the objects into your S3. So that's you have the fully control into your onto your objects. So that's the client side encryptions. That's the that's another level of the encryptions. That's the client side encryption is the act of encrypting the data before sending it to S3 to enable the client side encryptions. And you have the following options. You can use the master key stored into your Amazon KMS services. Then use a master key you store within your application. In this encryption, you retain end-to-end control of the encryption process, including management of the encryption keys. Okay, so you have the fully control to your objects. And for maximum simplicity and ease of use, basically it's recommended you should use the server side encryption with AWS managed keys, not the client side encryption keys if you don't have the experience. Because if they are going to lose, then your data going to be lost. And okay, let's move with our next next topic into S3, and that is very important. That's the versioning. So versioning, it's also used into S3 to how to keep your data, into your Amazon S3. Let's say if you have accidentally deleted your objects from your S3, so it's you can say it's work like the recycle bin into your S3. So use Amazon S3 versioning to keep your multiple version of an object in one bucket. And for example, you could store your image and version ID. There will be version ID. Let's say the version, the 611, and my image, my hyphen image dot jpg, that's the exact same jpg the file that's have the version ID is 6.2 in a single bucket. So that's how it's going to keep the multiple copies of your objects into the same buckets. And S3 versioning protects you from the consequences of unintended overrides and deletions. So let's say if you are not intended to delete or the override particular object, but you have to do something, or you just doing something, but it's happened, and there should, if the versioning is enabled, then there is the options that you can recover your last objects. And you can also use it to archive objects so that you have access to the previous versions. Once enabled, there is the one condition, the one, if you enable the versioning, it's there is no options to remove it from the bucket. But yeah, you can suspend it, but you cannot remove from the buckets. So versioning is a means of keeping the multiple variants of an object in the same bucket. And you can also use the versioning to preserve, retrieve, and the restore every versions of every object stored in your Amazon S3 bucket. With versioning, you can easily recover from both unintended user action and the application failure. When you enable versioning for a bucket, if Amazon S3 receives multiple write requests for the same object simultaneously, it stores all of the objects. Okay, so that's the versioning, how you can use your versioning into your S3 to protect your data, to keep the multiple copies of data objects into same buckets. So if you enable the versioning of a for a bucket, then Amazon S3 automatically generates a unique version ID for that objects which is being stored into your Amazon S3 buckets. So you can see into this diagram, they have the key, that's the key means that's the file name photo.gif, that's have the version ID 121212, and another one that's the key, that's the photo gif, and the version ID is 1111. That's how it's going to be stored into the same bucket. So it's a versioning enabled buckets. If there is no enable, then if you just delete or you can override, you cannot retrieve the previous version of your objects. So if you delete an object, instead of removing it permanently, Amazon S3 insert a delete marker which become the current object version. And if you overwrite an object, so if you overwrite an object, it results in a new object version in the bucket, and you can always restore the previous versions of your objects. So the first time you enable a bucket for versioning, object in it are thereafter always version and given a unique version ID. However, the objects stored into your buckets before you set the versioning state, they have the null as a version ID, because they were residing into your bucket before you enable the versioning. Okay, so the bucket owner can suspend the versioning to stop occurring the object versions. When you suspend versioning, existing objects in your buckets, they are not going to be changed. They will be they will having the same version ID, and they are not going to be. But once you suspended the version, and you are then afterwards you just going to upload the objects into the same buckets, then they are not going to getting any version ID. They will be, that version ID will be null. And next one is the MFA delete. We have the multi-factor authentication delete process into S3 as well. So you can enable the MFA delete also. It's MFA delete. It's the another layer of security to protect your data from on your buckets versioning. Okay, so you enable the versioning. That's fine. You have the, so you say you have the multiple copies of the of your objects, but MFA it's going to provide you the another layer of data protection on top of your versioning. So you can optionally add another layer of security. It's up to you, but it's good idea if you can enable the multi-factor authentications, which require the additional authentication for either of the following operations. You can change the version state of your bucket, permanently delete an object version, and MFA delete. It required basically two form authentications together: your security credentials and the concatenations of valid serial number, a space, and then the 6-digit code you can see into these MFA devices. Okay, or it can be into your Android mobile or your Apple mobile also. So that MFA delete can only be enabled by the root account only. Just keep in mind, not any other user can enable this MFA delete. Only the root user can enable them. To use MFA delete, you can use either a hardware or the virtual devices. Okay, so that's all about it's the versioning and MFA delete, how you can use them. Okay guys, so we will look into the next video into our lab videos, how we can enable the versioning, how we can enable the MFA to protect our data into our S3 buckets. Okay guys, yeah, thank you.